Hello everyone and welcome back to Genie Crafts. So today's video is about Mr. Ratan Tata, who has been an inspirational figure to a lot of youngsters and entrepreneurs in our nation. Sadly, he recently passed away, so I thought to honor his great work and everything that he has done for the nation by creating a very simple paper portrait for a person with simple living and high thinking. So guys, today we are going to see a kind of portrait that is not very complicated, doesn't require too many layers, but it is still going to create a good effect in terms of artwork. So guys, let's get started. So first things first, what kind of materials you require? So obviously you require the template. As you can see that this is not your regular template, this is an inverse template, and in one of my other videos I will show you how to build this kind of template. Then you need two paper, one black for the background and the other as much light gray as you can, but we don't want white. You can also use white if you want, but white will not give that kind of an effect. You need a gray shade of paper for this. Then obviously you require glue, knife, etc. So I'll cover those things as we move along in the video. Just stick your template onto the gray paper because that will make the parts which are going to be stuck on the black background paper. So once you are done with that, and then when the template is stuck and ready, then we'll proceed to the next step. Now for the cutting purpose, I'm using my trusty OLFA paper cutting knife because it's a shorter blade and the thickness of these papers is a little bit more. Each of these papers, both black and the gray, are above 200 GSM. So the black one is 300 GSM black paper and the gray one is, I think it's 270 GSM paper. I don't remember because the GSM was not mentioned on the paper, but I think it's more than 250 GSM. So the next thing that you need to do is obviously cut out all the pieces and keep them safe. We do not want to lose any of the pieces. Okay, now typically in this kind of portrait you will have very few pieces because it's silhouette, it's just showing the shadow in an inverse way, so the number of pieces will be less. So that means that the amount of detailing will also be that much less in terms of the number of pieces in the portrait. So you need to be very sure that you are cutting out each and every detail, each and every nook and corner in the exact way as it is drawn in the template or as it is printed in the template. Because if you start rounding off the corners or missing out on the details, the final effect will also get that much bad, right? So it's important that you cut each and every single detail. Hence you can see that I am taking my time and slowly cutting it. I'm not compromising on any of the corners or ups and downs in the lines in the template. I'm just following the template exactly as is, and that's what we need to do before we proceed to the next step, is to make sure that we have cut out all the pieces and kept them separate. Few more things to take care of, for example, that when you are keeping the pieces aside, put it in such a way on your paper or any surface where you are keeping things safe, is that the sequence in which the pieces are there. Obviously you will have your this gray paper later on for use, but it's important that you do not mix the pieces, especially if a couple of pieces are of the same size or similar looking. Now in my case, the pieces are very different looking from each other, so there is no chance of confusion, but it's important that you not just pile up the pieces on top of each other. In fact, you keep them safe in a sequence on the surface where you are storing them. And now we are at the very last two pieces, and as you can see that I broke my blade because the paper was thick and I tilted my knife slightly and the tip of the blade broke, so now I have to change my blade. But these are the two last pieces, and once we are done with this, then we'll move to the next part of the portrait process, which is assembly of the pieces. So you can see that this is more or less like your regular layered paper portrait. The only difference being that in a layered paper portrait there will be many layers, like 4 or 5 layers. Here we are going to create the same effect of layered portrait with just one layer on top of a background. So let's move on to the next step of the process, which is assembly. Now comes the last part, which is assembly. So first place your cutout gray paper on top of the black paper, put it in the position where you want to assemble your portrait, and then secure both the paper with the help of paper clips or pins or any way you want. Just do not use glue, because then it is going to leave mark on the black paper. Now for the purposes of uh, for the purposes of pasting, I'm using simple water-based glue, so that even if there is a little bit of spill here and there on the black paper while pasting, it's not going to cause any marks, or it's not going to leave any kind of smudges on the paper. So what you need to do is you need to take a toothpick. Do not use your fingers, because then it might dirty your paper. So use a toothpick to spread a thin layer of glue onto the back side of each of the pieces. And because you have the cutout shape already present in the gray paper, you are going to use that as a guide to actually place the pieces and then paste it. So you can see that I'm using the cutout shape in the gray paper as a guide to place my place my cutout piece and then paste it on the black paper. Be very careful. I did couple of mistakes. For example, I did not completely follow, so you can see that the paper got a little bit sideways. So you have to be sure that you are following the shape of the cutout for pasting your pieces, and follow the same process for rest of the pieces also. Now one way of doing it is applying glue on the pieces first and then pasting it on the background surface. The other is just applying glue on the surface by following the cutout marks and then pasting your paper. Now you do not need to apply glue in the entire surface. You can just put some placeholder glue marks onto the areas which are quite open, as you can see how I am doing in the video. Then put your piece, and then later on, obviously the edges will not be stuck properly, so later on you can use the thin blade of your knife or even the toothpick to apply glue onto the remaining parts of the pieces, and then make sure that they stick to the surface. I have shown this in the later part of the video. Once you're done pasting all the pieces, remove the paper clips or the paper pins, and then carefully take off the gray paper. Make sure that you're not pulling out any of the stuck pieces, and you will have a portrait more or less ready. Now comes the tricky part of making sure that all the pieces are stuck properly. So use the tip of your blade to securely lift the pieces which are not stuck, and then either use the toothpick, like I said before also, to apply the glue onto the areas where they are not stuck properly, or you can also take some glue onto the tip of your blade and then slowly slide it under the pieces which are not stuck properly. So you can do it both ways, or if you are comfortable using any other method, then you can do that also. Just make sure that the pieces are stuck in the right place and they are not moving here and there by bending of the paper in fragile areas where there is very thin strip. So chances are that you might bend the paper that side. So do not do that. Make sure that the pieces are stuck on the right place. Also, since you are using your fingers now, make sure that you do not smudge the glue onto the rest of the surface. So you can see here that I'm using the tip of the blade to just pick up small amount of glue onto it, and then just slowly slide it under the places where it's difficult to reach with the help of the toothpick. And once you are done putting finishing touches to the pieces, your silhouette portrait is ready. A simple portrait made with just 2 layers, but gives a very beautiful and powerful output. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you guys liked the video, then please don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends. Also to subscribe to my channel for regular videos on paper arts, string arts and other forms of arts. And I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Till then, stay safe, take care, and bye bye.